Good morning. This is the Blain's World podcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also listen in on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And you can also get more information and listen to previous shows at our website, www.blainsworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my lovely Zoom studio in Fairview, North Carolina. And each week we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce two friends of mine, plus a new friend, we'll add Madison, but they are all involved in a play, Nashville Community Theater, Bright Star, and I'll go from top to bottom, I guess. Mark Jones is director. Eric Martinez is one of the performers, and Madison McMahon. Sorry about that. And Eric already read my mind, but you can all wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this on Facebook, wherever you're watching it. And what I like doing, especially for people I'm interviewing for the first time, is just find out a little bit about you folks. And I've had the pleasure of seeing Eric in several shows over the years. I've never interviewed you, Eric. And so the question is, first of all, where did you grow up as a kid?
Yeah, so I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. All my family still lives there, and I am the only one that has moved east of the Mississippi.
And when you were growing up as a kid in Albuquerque, New Mexico, did you always know you wanted to be a musical performer?
I always loved singing. So a couple of funny stories is as a kid, I was probably one of the quietest babies. My mom put music on and it soothed me day and night. So I was a very content baby. But I think one of my funniest stories is one day we were having our carpet replaced in our house, and the poor worker who was doing the carpet replacement actually had to hear me sing. I was about 3 years old, had to hear me sing the entire day. And so my mom was like, oh my gosh, I got to do something with this kid. So she put me into theater by the age of 4. So she knew how to channel my energy.
You remember the first play you were ever in?
Yeah, it was called How Elephants Got Their Trunks. And I was the baby elephant. All the elephants had these stubby little trunks, these noses. I was drinking water, and the bad crocodile grabs my nose, tries to pull me in to eat me. The elephants are pulling me back, crocodiles pulling me in, and that's how elephants got their trunks.
Now, I can't believe you remember that. Now, was that ever recorded?
No,
Okay.
at least I don't think so. It'll probably if I ever become famous, it'll probably turn up in some crazy place, I'm sure.
Well, you mentioned that because I'll share the idea that I've shared with Mark in the past too. But I have an idea for a fundraiser for Asheville Community Theater, or whoever picks it up. And what it is, I want everybody to do their very first role, you know. So wouldn't that be cool? You could revisit, you never had it was taped then. You could retape it now. And wouldn't that be cool to show you as a 4-year-old what your role was?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody out there has the video,
I think we all did animals. If because my first role was a Chew, the mouse that saved Christmas.
Oh, love it.
Now, do you remember that role too?
Oh God, yes. I remember exactly. I was allergic to cheese, so and then there was an evil cat that was lighting fires in the fireplaces, so Santa couldn't come down. So I ran around with sneeze and would sniff it, and it would make me sneeze, and I'd blow out the fires in the fireplaces.
And I don't mean to embarrass you, Mark, but what were you, like 23 or 24 at the time when you did that?
When I did a Chew?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was third grade.
Third grade.
Fourth grade, something like that.
I can't believe you still remember that. Madison, do you remember your first role?
My first true musical theater role was my freshman year of high school, and I played Kim McAfee in Bye Bye Birdie.
Okay. And so had you acted at all before then?
I had done some stuff through my church, but nothing really. I was more of a sports person, and then I got hurt playing basketball, and I was like, well, let's try theater. That seems like a fun thing to do, and here I am.
That was the end of your basketball career.
That was the end of my basketball career and the beginning of my
and so
career.
You're from what area, Madison?
I'm actually born and raised here in Asheville. So I grew up in South Asheville. I went to T.C. Robertson High School. Born and raised. My family dates back to like the 1700s in the area. So we've been here a while.
Now, at least for me, this is the first time I think I've seen you perform. Have you performed elsewhere other than Asheville or over the last couple of years?
So no, this is actually the first time I'm kind of hitting the stage in a little over a decade.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Right.
My last role at Asheville Community Theater was 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago, and I got to play the role of Adelaide in Guys and Dolls.
Okay, and I think that was, I think, one of the very first shows I saw at ACT. So I may have seen you in that. So what brought you back again?
Just life. I did theater in college, and then, that one show at ACT, and then, I had jobs and family and kids in between, and now I'm at a place where I wanted to give it a try again to see if I could still do it.
Okay, well, apparently you can.
Yeah, I needed an escape, I guess you could say.
And it's funny you say that, because that's kind of how I recall Eric, that I used to love seeing you in plays all over. And for a long time, right, you weren't acting.
Well,
several years.
So a couple of things happened. I took a job in Charlotte, so I moved kind of out of the area, and then I started doing more film and commercial work. And then, the love of theater brought me back. So I've been doing theater for a couple of years now.
Okay, but it's so good and you were so good in I don't know if you saw him, Madison, but he was so good in that comedy. He just did Assassins. It was light, easy comedy.
Lighthearted.
Right. But you were
lighthearted family Americana musical.
Did you get to see it, Madison?
I didn't, but I hear he was incredible. So I'm just thankful to get a chance to work with him.
And I'm so thankful for the both of you in terms of acting, because to give up film work in Eric's case, to re-enter the high-paying local theater, scene, it's it must have been quite a sacrifice, to have to come back.
No. I mean, working with Mark and Madison, for one, the music, the show is tremendous. When I first saw that they were doing this and I saw Mark was directing, I looked it up and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous and powerful and dramatic. And I'm like, I must audition. I must. So there was, no sacrifice. It has been an absolute gift, actually.
Madison, did you know the show before you came out for it?
I did not actually. I had to reach out to Mark for the script because I was like, somebody told me I should audition for the show, but I don't know anything about it. And I had just heard it was a bluegrass musical, and I was like, I'm not really into bluegrass, like, I don't know if that's my style. But after reading the show, like similar to Eric, I was like, I can't pass this up. This is an incredible show to just be a part of in any way. And I was thrilled to get the role that I did, but I was just excited to have the opportunity to audition. And I mean, the show is such an array of emotions from beginning to end, and the cast is absolutely incredible, no matter who they are and what role they have, and it's a true blessing to be a part of it.
And as you said, that was kind of my reaction when I heard it was being done several years ago. SAWT did it. I don't know, Mark, did you see the SAWT production?
I did not. No.
Oh, they really did a great job with it. But my reaction, same thing too. Who wants to see a bluegrass musical? But it's just, it's like unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's powerful. And Mark, I'll turn to you then in terms of folks who are not familiar with it. Could you maybe give kind of the Reader's Digest summary of what the show is about?
Well, it's a difficult show to describe, so I'm going to give you the description that the theater gives, because you don't want to give away too much, and it's easy to get drawn into trying to explain what's happening, and then you end up giving away a plot point. So basically, the show is set in Asheville in our very own Blue Ridge Mountains. Bright Star tells a sweeping tale of love and redemption when literary editor Alice Murphy meets a young soldier just home from World War II. They discover a stunning secret with the power to transform their lives forever. And that's really all you can say, because if you try to go into too much detail of the story, it gets confusing, because it's in two different time periods. It's in the 1920s and the 1940s. And so it's really Alice's story, but it's, there's so many different characters and people that go in and out and weave in and out of her story. And it's just basically a show. It's just saying we all have stories to tell, and how are we all part of these stories? And every person on that stage is part of her story in some way, shape, or form. So,
and Madison, are you Alice?
I am, yes.
Okay. And Eric, you are?
I played Jimmy Ray.
Okay, Jimmy Ray is what? Is he the soldier?
I'm not.
Oh,
Okay.
No,
Jim-
no, he's not.
Who's Jimmy Ray? What's his character?
Jimmy Ray is the mayor's son. So I'm another character in part of Alice's legacy, her history, her memories.
And if I can share with people, because I think it's so well done, Mark introduced it before you turned on, Eric. But ACT has put together, I think, one of the best little short previews of a film, of a show I've ever seen. And Mark, talk a little bit about how that was done.
so it was my idea to do this trailer. Broadway shows, they always have commercials on television, or they have trailers. Now television is kind of a thing of the past in a way of commercials, but they do YouTube trailers and things like that for Broadway shows to generate, excitement and give you a little taste of the music in the show. And I wanted to do one for Bright Star for a long, when they first talked about me directing the show, because it's a bluegrass show. It's set, one of the locations in the show is Asheville, North Carolina. And we have a live band coming. And I just wanted to get that out there for people so they would at least get a taste of one of the songs in the show and the feeling that the show gives you. It's, there are some happy, there's sad, there's so much in this show that, so many emotions, but the trailer, once you hear it, you just kind of, it gives you this feeling of happiness. And the Broadway show did a trailer similar to this, and we're kind of paying homage to it, and just getting it out there so people don't just see a picture and go, oh, what is this about? They actually can hear the music. And when you see the story or see the show, you'll know that in the trailer our characters are also have a little bit of the story in the show is in the trailer as well. You just don't know it until you see the show.
Eric, if I can ask you to do the honors, I think you can cue it up for us to people can see it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Share sound, and let me share my screen, and I'm going to kick it off.
Thank you.
You got the look, you got the feel, you got the face of true love. You got the show, you got to be. I gotta let you go.
We're not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, you're not seeing it?
No,
We're going to try it.
I hear it.
The sound isn't great either. I don't know if you can do anything on the
let me
sound.
start it again.
Okay. This is a trailer for Bright Star. We're going to give it a second try. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. Let me actually put it on this screen then.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks.
That was weird. Okay, yeah, let me.
Okay. And we're talking about the show Bright Star, which is going to be at Asheville Community Theater. We're talking with two of the performers and director Mark Jones. And if Eric is ready, if not, we'll get past
I
it.
will share it again. Yeah, let me
Okay.
just I'm going to share again.
There you go.
Oh,
Good job.
There it
Thanks.
is.
There you go.
You actually seeing the actual
Now we see a black screen. It's good.
Oh, let me just make sure. I just want to make sure it's absolutely the right one. I'm going to share my desktop.
Okay. It was in terms of black screens, it was a very nice one.
There we
Okay.
go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we have. There we go. Good job.
Yeah, here it goes.
You got the look,
You got the feel.
you got the face of true love. You got the charm,
You gotta peel,
I gotta let you go.
something tells me it'll be alright.
Something tells me it's gonna be okay.
The sun is gonna shine
The
again.
clouds
The
are
sun is gonna
rolling
shine
in,
again.
rolling
The
on
sun is gonna
by.
shine
The
again.
clouds
The
are
sun is gonna shine
rolling on
again.
by.
The
The
sun
sun
is
is gonna shine again. The sun is gonna shine again.
The sun is gonna shine again. The sun is gonna shine again. The sun is gonna shine again. The sun is gonna shine again. The sun is gonna shine again. The sun is gonna shine again.
The sun is gonna shine again.
Fantastic. Thanks, Eric, for putting that up.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I have to, though, tell you one bad thing about that trailer, though. It cost me an arm and a leg to see it because I had to show it to my wife, and she now only wants to see the show. So I was originally just going to try to come to friends and family night or something, but now today I just bought 2 tickets. And
Have a team, gonna have music.
what was that?
Oh, wait, is that my?
Oh,
Oh, it is.
it's still playing.
That is going into another video. I am turning that up. That is hysterical.
I was like, who is
Okay.
that talking?
That was
I
Ann.
don't
That was Ann
recognize
talking.
you.
Dan, that's our stage manager.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Talking about
She's everywhere.
Oh
Right.
my gosh, what is going on here? Okay.
oh, it's
And
probably playing the next video, which I edited, which was the
Why?
Seasons of Love.
Oh my gosh, hold on. Okay.
Okay. Well, talk a little
I
bit
am now
about Mark.
closing all of Google. There we go.
Okay, thanks. And talk a little bit about Mark in terms of even that video. The thing that was so cool about it was a team effort, and even putting that together, it wasn't something you just threw together in a couple minutes. Describe the
Oh
process.
no. Well, and naturally I really would have loved to have had even more of the cast in the video, but because we did it early, we could only, there were only so many costumes ready. Plus you have to coordinate everybody getting there. We shot it on a day we didn't have rehearsal, and we started, I think Madison got to the theater at 2:00, where Nikki LaRue, production coordinator, props mistress, props whatever, hair, makeup, she got her ready, got Madison ready, and then Ida got her in costume, and then we left at 3:00 and drove up to the Parkway to shoot that final shot. And then we came back to the theater, got there back at about 4:30, and Carson and Eric and Safia, who plays Margot, and Carson plays Billy, were there in costume. And then we walked to the Thomas Wolfe House, and the Thomas Wolfe House was nice, or Memorial was nice to allow us to be in there after they closed so that we could shoot that video in the Thomas Wolfe House next door, which was a lot of fun because they were in period costumes and the house is, the proper time period. And it was just a really neat experience to just film all kinds of things. And we were laughing and having a good time. And since we weren't using any of the audio, it didn't matter. So they were just lip syncing to the song. And then he made it, he took all those little bits and pieces. And Eli Cunningham, who is the new marketing director at ACT, he edited together and created that beautiful video. It was raining the day we were up at the Parkway too, so we were getting wet. And you can't tell in the video when you see the mountains that it was raining, but it was sprinkling rain.
Well,
And it was cold.
Why I want people to see this is because people who are watching this, listening, might not realize how time consuming putting together a show is. So like even for a 1.5-minute segment, a preview took you like the whole day.
It was like 4 hours.
In terms of, and by driving up and down and, the whole bit. In terms of putting this show on, Mark, how long have you been in rehearsals for?
Oh, well, we've definitely been in rehearsals for 8 weeks. And we still have 2 more to go, actually. Because I did something different with the show than I haven't done with other shows. Normally when I direct a show, I do a lot of research for my own personal use. And I sometimes share that information with people verbally. And, I'm like, well, maybe they listened, maybe they didn't. But for this show, there's a song in the show called If You Knew My Story. And so I decided to, starting the first week of rehearsal, every week I did a article, so to speak, called If You Knew My Story. And I did 8 parts of it. Each week was a different, like, historic aspect of something that is in the world of Bright Star. So the first week was like a history of Asheville from the 1900s to now. I did a history of, bluegrass music. I did a history of Zebulon, North Carolina, which is another town in the show. And each week was a different piece of, the world of Bright Star, and I would send it out to the cast members. So that's how I'm able to keep track of how many weeks we've been rehearsing, because this week was the last one I did was the history of Nehi, the drink that RC Cola put out back in the early days. And they still have Nehis now, but because they drink Nehi in the show. So it was just kind of a fun way to keep track of things and to give my cast members a little history of the world that they're inhabiting on stage.
Also about the show, which I think is so unusual, is the fact that, to your credit, you're not using canned music. You're not using tape music.
No.
Talk about the music in the show.
Well, we have Kristen Dominguez is our music director, I've known Kristen. We've been friends since the 7th grade, so close to 30, 35, 36 years we've been friends. She's music directing the show, and we have secured 8 bluegrass band members, musicians, and they all have wonderful connections to the bluegrass world in this area. We have Marty Lewis, who is a member of Sons of Ralph. We have David Bruce. We have a bunch of people I don't know. I haven't met them yet, but we have Bucky Hanks, who played the banjo when they did it at SART. So he's
Okay,
going to be
yeah,
playing
I
banjo for
know.
our show. And he's going to be playing. We had to have a specific type of banjo, which he did not own. And we, through Kristen's connections in the music world, we got a banjo that we're going to borrow from David Holt, who is a very, very, very famous bluegrass musician in the area, and in, you know, outside the area as well. So we're going to be using his banjo in the show, and so it's just, you know, lots of wonderful connections in our music to the world of bluegrass. So I'm very excited to have them on stage with us.
Some people know the show. Some people know the show through the name Steve Martin. What's his tie into it?
Oh, he wrote it. Him and Edie Brickell. Edie Brickell was a musician from the 80s. And they have you can hear their story of Bright Star. They met at a party and wanted to do a song together, and then that song turned into an entire album, then an entire show, musical. And Steve Martin has, I believe he has a home in Brevard area. I'm not quite sure exactly the exact area, but I think him and the Steve Kenyon Rangers have recorded an album or 2 or songs in Asheville, and he loves Asheville, and that's why he wrote a song called Asheville, and a musical that takes place in Asheville. So, I mean, he has connections to the area.
Have we invited him to the show yet, or are we going
to? No.
Okay, well,
but I believe he has been tagged in quite a few posts. You know,
he's welcome to come.
He's welcome to come. Exactly.
And Madison, we might even comp him a ticket, right? If he comes,
I think I could take care of that for him if, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. And Madison, what was your reaction to singing this kind of music? Had you ever done this kind of music before?
No. I mean, I'm a huge fan of like country music, and not even, you know, modern country, but old school country music. But I had never personally sung this style of music before, and I've really enjoyed it.
And same thing to Eric, you?
Yeah, so I love country and bluegrass. I've never had the opportunity to sing it. And it's one of the things that attracted me to the show was the challenge of taking on a new style and honoring it. And so it's been wonderful.
What was fun about the music, I think, though, it's not, in my way of thinking, traditional bluegrass music. You know, it's like it's almost like pop bluegrass or something like that. Anybody would love it, I think. You know, you hear the music.
Mix. Yeah, there's definitely, in my mind, there's a mix of different, like a little bit of country, even a little bit of Broadway in there a little bit. Some, you know, very traditional bluegrass and some gospel. I think it just kind of, it just reaches all across lots of genres.
And talk about, Mark, something else that I saw in one of the clips, that after I saw the one you showed, there was another clip that the cast was working. What were they working on in terms of their hand gestures, or what was that all about?
Well, there's a couple of songs in the show where they do what we call hand percussion, where they like beat on their chest or their legs, and they just do different, you know, beats for the song, but they're doing them with their bodies. And it's part of the choreography. Jessica Garland Lowe has, who's staged many shows with me through the years, has added that in the wonderful choreography. And it's just a lot of fun. It just gives it a high energy to have the cast members. We call them storytellers. They're like the ensemble, but I decided to call them storytellers, and they're on stage a lot in the show. The ensemble the storytellers are very, very, very important to the show, and they do a lot of work in the show. They sing, they're sitting there watching through some scenes, they move set pieces, they're very integral to the story. And they get to have a lot of fun with movement and dancing and, you know, adding the flavor to what's going on with the main characters. So
talking about the cast, also, you put together quite a cast. It's how many people are in the cast?
We have 25 cast members and 8 band members. So
Okay.
there's, that many people on stage.
And compare and contrast that to another show you directed a couple of months ago where you had like 4 people or something, when you did ACT.
Oh, title of show. That was
Right.
4 people and a piano.
Exactly. So 28 people. And give a shout out, if you would, Mark, to some of the other people in the show. You mentioned the band. A lot of people help put it together. You mentioned Jessica, who does great work. Who else should people kind of be recognized for?
Oh my
Your
gosh.
stage,
Well,
how
there's
about stage manager?
Ann Guerin is our stage manager. Ann Guerin has been my stage manager for quite a few shows at ACT in the past. So we, Ann Guerin, everybody, we love her. And there's just a lot of people. I mean, like, for example, I have an actress who's playing Madison's mother in the show, and her name is Susan Yetman. And I've known Susan since I started at ACT when I was 18 years old. And Susan used to do a lot of theater in the area, and she's done some SART. She did some, we had lots of things. So I would consider her to be a very integral part to the theater history in Asheville, which is kind of nice to have her back on stage playing, Mama Murphy. And I have, out of those 25 people, 15 of them are brand spanking new, never been on the ACT stage before. Eric being one of them. This is your first ACT show. But I have a lot of people that haven't done theater before. I mean, Safia, who plays Margot, I don't think she's ever done a musical before or ever done theater live. So this is all new to her, which is exciting. And, there's just so many names.
No, I'm really,
There are 2 title of show people in the cast. Joby Lavery and Carolyn Reeves are in the storytellers, and they were in title of show with me. And it's just a great way to, I've invited so many new people into the family of ACT, so I'm excited.
and that's what I wanted to give you credit for, because a lot of people think they shouldn't go out for theater, or it's all a closed club. It's only certain people, and you're certainly putting this out that half these people I've never seen or heard. So it's kind of exciting, including Madison. That it's fun to see different people from time to time. And Madison, let me ask you this question: if anybody's watching this, who do you think should see this show, and tell me why?
Everybody.
Well,
Yeah.
well, no, I should ask you. So, in terms of any age, it's appropriate for any age.
I would say like teenagers and older. Maybe for young children might be a little bit too mature for them, but my niece came and sat in on a rehearsal. She's 13 and absolutely loved it. So I would say anybody and everybody should come see the show. You will feel a range of emotions, happy, sad, joyful, like just anxious. There's just a realm of emotions throughout the entire show. And like Eric was saying, there's such a mix of musical styles that are blended within the bluegrass, that I think it actually is really intriguing and exciting for a lot of different people who like different styles of music. And even if you don't like musicals, it's not your like traditional classic musical either, because it does bring in that bluegrass style. So I think it appeals to even a potentially broader range of people as well.
Well, I was going to ask Eric that question too. People tell me, I hate it when they do, but they hate musicals. They don't like musicals. But this, Eric, I guess this kind of show that even if you quote hate musicals, you're gonna like this show. Would you say?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, first of all, the music, right? And so if you just love like folk music, bluegrass music, live musicians, I mean, it's beautiful just for that. If you didn't even add the story. But I would say, I've seen a lot of Broadway musicals, of a lot of shows. And some of them, I came in with these expectations and I've forgotten all about them. This is a show most people probably haven't heard of, but I guarantee by the time you leave, you will never forget the show. It is so powerful, so beautiful that you will be so glad that you took the chance, because it'll be something that is such an impression on you that I personally say that you should all come because of that.
And you get Eric's personal recommendation. One of the
Personal
things-
recommendation. Yes, absolutely.
One of the things I-
Eric's seal of approval. Yes.
Okay, one of the things I love about it too is that aside from the show a couple of years ago, several years ago, it's not been overdone, and that's kind of exciting too. Because I don't know, Mark, you probably remember it, but several years ago, everybody was doing the same show in Asheville. You know, they go to every they go to they see the same show 3 or 4 times in 2 years. And so it's exciting. This hasn't been done for at least several years, and so it's exciting if you want to see something different. Mark, the specifics of it, if you could, again, the dates and how to get tickets, that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so it's April 21st through May 14th. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. The Friday and Saturdays are 7:30 shows, and the Sunday, I think it's 2:30. I get confused on the matinees.
It is 2:30.
Because every theater has a different matinee time. And then you can go to AshevilleTheater.org to get your tickets, and that is the theater spelling is TheaTre.org, not ER.
And everybody says you should get tickets early, but on this one, I will recommend you get tickets early because I just bought tickets. I just bought tickets a couple of hours ago, and already it's pretty well, a lot of tickets sold. And just to give you a heads up, ACT is having a great year this year. But what was the show I missed? Seeing Elf. I couldn't get tickets because it was sold out before the opening of the show. So I don't know if you guys saw it, but I was so sorry I missed it. So you should really get tickets in advance if you want to get good seats for the show. Also, everything at ACT is good seat. There's no bad seat. It's really terrific. And wrapping up, let me just ask the 3 of you in terms of when this is over, and this will be over. It runs what dates again, Mark? April?
4 weekends.
April what? April starts 20.
April 21st through May 14th.
May 14th. So afterwards, I'll kind of go around the room here. Any plans after in terms of Mark, in your case, directing or performing? Anything else that we can tell people about yet?
After this ends, I don't have, well, I do have some plans, but I can't talk about them quite yet. But there's 2 things in the pipeline that I can't really talk about publicly yet. I'll be doing Land of Oz in September, but it's away. And I may be auditioning for a show at ACT as well coming up. So that's all unknown yet for me.
By the way, you and I have discussed before, but do you have a preference in terms of acting or directing?
Directing.
Yeah. No,
but I will say, I do get to do both for Bright Star because on May 6th, one of my actors had a conflict and will be out of the show, and I will be playing one of the lead roles in the show on the night of May 6th. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'll miss it. But one of the things, Madison, that Mark doesn't say, well, a lot of people, actors will say they prefer directing, because the reality, they don't have to memorize the script, this way. He has the hard work of not memorizing, even though.
And I get to be in control of everything.
Okay. You're doing it May 6th. Madison, any plans after Bright Star?
I currently have no plans. This is it for me right now. I play the role of full-time wife and mother at home, and so I've had an incredible husband support me through this process, and it has been a lot. And so this might be my show for the year, and we'll see what happens next year.
Well, it's funny. A lot of folks do tell me that, and more so women than the guys. But they say they're allowed to do 1 show a year, because again, look at for like 3 months, you're out of commission, and people don't realize it. How many nights a week are you rehearsing?
We are currently rehearsing. We've been rehearsing 4 nights a week for about 4.5 hours a night. And so it's roughly 6:30 to 9:30, 6:30 to 10, depending on the evening. So, that's bedtime. I have young kids. And so, but it's really been an amazing experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but yeah, this might be it for the year for me, but I'll hopefully have something again next year.
And I can relate to the bedtime, because that's why I see matinees. As I get older, I like afternoon shows. And this is not the show, but I love short shows too. So
Sure.
the one show Mark did, I think, was like a 90-minute show. Give me a 90-minute show. This is, I guess, not a 90-minute show. Is that correct?
It's pretty.
It's not that far
long.
over it.
Okay, really good.
Yeah, we've ran the show twice already, and we still are 2 weeks away. But like the first act is about an hour and 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and the second act is 51 minutes. So it's not
Okay,
bad.
good.
It moves very quickly.
Okay.
It
And think
does.
about guys, musicals, how they've changed, from Oklahoma days or, three. I can imagine there were once shows with 3 acts, and, now to 2 hours, pretty good. Eric, any plans after this?
So right now, I gotta say, I am completely focused on the show. I'm ready to be just in the moment. But to answer your question, some downtime for sure. Looking forward to some time up in the mountains, just being with family and the puppy dogs. And in terms of future shows, there's a couple I have my eyes on, but yeah, I don't even want to go there yet. There's still a lot in front of me that I want to be a part of. So
The most
I'll think
amazing
about that
thing,
later.
I'll talk to Eric and Madison about this, when actors are sometimes doing 2, if not 3 shows, at once there. They're doing one show. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, in rehearsal for another and starting to read for a third. Have you ever done that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard.
I don't know how you do it, Mark. You've done that too, many a time.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know-
last year I directed one show after the other. Each show led to the next show, so my brain was quite full of
And-
ideas for every show.
And I don't know if you've seen it, but Mark, I don't know if he's shown you his roller skates also, but in terms of him getting from where he is out to Hart into other places, you really have to be moving around a lot. So anyway, I want to thank you 3 for being my guest on this Blaine's World podcast. Really looking forward to the show. Hope everybody else gets to see it as well. And thank you for being part of it. And I hope to see you sometime in the future. So Mark, Eric, and Madison. Also, I thank my producer, Cappy Tassetti. Hopefully we'll see you both at ACT for Bright Star, and we'll see you down the road at some other show. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Blaine.
You.
Thank you.